All right. Hey guys, welcome to the OCD and Anxiety Show. My name is Matt Cotty. And in this episode, I want to talk about what to do when you are stuck in OCD and anxiety. And so there's four specific things I want to talk about today because when you're stuck, it seems like this daunting, overwhelming situation, right? Like sometimes the idea, like when you're really caught in it, and if you've never been caught in it, then it's hard to really understand what I'm saying. I think because it's like you can maybe conceptualize the idea of feeling anxious and stuff, but I mean, when you're stuck in the loop, it's like this weight is just on you, so when you're in that situation, it's like getting through the day can seem overwhelming enough, right? Let alone the week and the month and how long am I going to be here and all that stuff, you know? So the four things that I want to talk about are awareness, authenticity, focus, and goals, right? And I'm going to kind of break down each one of those today on our episode. But before we dive in, if you could really help us out by liking and subscribing and sharing and even commenting and any way you can support the show like that, because it helps the algorithm and it helps get this out to more people and it shows the platforms that people are watching this. And so that would really help us out if you could do that, and I would really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and talk about awareness first. So what do I mean by awareness? You're like, well, Matt, I'm very aware if I'm in the loop. Of course, I'm aware of that. But I want to go a deeper level of awareness here. So the two things that we need to be aware of when we're caught in the loop is if we're caught in the loop, it means that all four of these things exist. There's the intrusive thoughts, there's the feelings, and then there's the behaviors that cause relief. And then that loop starts to spin. And the more that loop spins, the more that lens and that veil kind of lifts over your eyes. So the best way that I try to describe this to people when you're really in it is it's like there's this lens or this veil, right? That just kind of comes over your consciousness, and everything looks different. It looks scary. It looks dark, right? It looks what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of bleak or it just grim. Maybe that's the word. So when you're in this, it's not about being aware that you're in it. It's about being aware of the lens or the veil, and that exists right now, and that on the other side of the veil there's the real you, and the real you that sees things and is joyful and your spirit and love and all that good stuff that's in you. But when you're in it, that veil comes over, and that veil is brutal when you're in it. So the awareness of that lens or the awareness of the veil that kind of forms is so important, because when you're looking through it, it looks real. I mean, another way that you might want to even entertain, or another analogy you might want to entertain, is this idea of being caught in a spell. I'm not like saying that this is about witchcraft or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like there's a good scene in the movie The Lord of the Rings, in the Two Towers, and the king is under the spell of this bad dude. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but when it's like they're talking to the king, and he just can't see that he's under the spell. But when he finally breaks the spell, everything becomes clear. And that's kind of what it's like when you're in the lens or under the veil of fear. It's like it's so hard to be aware of that. So that's the first step, is just becoming aware that I'm in the lens, that I'm in the loop, that I'm in the veil. And that while I'm in this, things are going to look distorted. They're going to look dark. They're not going to see things. So I'm not going to feel how I normally feel. And just being aware of that. Okay. Because that's, that is, if we aren't aware of that, what happens is we start thinking that the thoughts we're having are actually the problem, or the feelings we're having are actually the problem. We get reactive and we do more behaviors, and we end up digging ourselves deeper the loop. So hopefully that makes sense. Number two is I want to talk about being authentic. So, and again, I'm speaking about this from, from personal experience, guys. It's like this is not me sharing like theory. This is stuff that I've learned over time, is just really important to understand. Um, so when I say to be authentic, again, like, this is, I think, one of the big mistakes people make is they try to be and feel ways that they're not feeling, or being, right? So authentic, it doesn't mean that I want you to throw a pity party for yourself or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But in order to be authentic, you have to be able to vocalize your truth, right? And a lot of times what I think people do, and myself included, is we are like, someone asks us how we're doing. We're like, oh, well, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, things are good. And they're not good, you know? And it's not that you need to share this with it's like when you go to get coffee, you don't need to go up to the barista and be like, "Oh, I'm having a terrible day. I just want you to know that." It's like that's not what I'm saying. But it's a thing where you do need to be authentic with people that are close to you. And you need to be able to express what's going on to trusted people. And you don't need to always put on the face, right? Because that's one of the things that people do, is they put on this fake facade like things are good, and essentially they are burying what they're really experiencing. And one of the ways through this is to authentically feel what you are feeling. That might be sadness, it might be anxiety, it might be, panic, it might be fear, it might be, we have to be able to authentically feel our feelings. That's one of the keys to getting out, is you have to make room for these feelings to surface. And yes, these feelings are uncomfortable. It doesn't mean they're bad, right? It just means that they're uncomfortable. And like I talked about in the last couple episodes of embracing uncomfortable feelings, it's like, yeah, I would love to just feel joy all the time. And I hope that I get to that place, where it's just every single moment is joy. Unfortunately, like, I'm human, and there are things that happen that, it make me experience other feelings. It doesn't mean that those feelings are bad, but joy and love are the easiest feelings for me to accept and allow, where the other feelings that are uncomfortable, fear, anxiety, worry, right? Grief, right? Sadness. These feelings, they're uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't experience them, or that I should bury them and only pretend to be happy. And this is like, need to learn to be authentic to what you're feeling, giving yourself space to feel what you're feeling. Now, meditation is a good place to do that. Prayer. You have to find some level of authenticity within yourself to be able to express what you're feeling. So the next is where we focus. Okay. So we talked about awareness, authenticity, and then focus. So when I say focus, one of the things that keeps people stuck when you're really in this loop is they focus on one of two things. They either focus on a time in the past when they were feeling like, let's say, 100%. Right. So like, if we used a scale of, percentages of how we're feeling, let's say 100% is like our top, and 0% is like, dude, I'm down in the dumps. Right. And let's say that you get caught in the loop and you move to, like, let's say 40%. So what a lot of people will do is they'll focus on a time in the past when they felt 100. And what they'll do is they'll constantly compare themselves to that feeling. So the idea is that they're always checking in and always focusing. Oh gosh, do I have feelings? Oh God, there it is. Oh geez, it's here again. Oh, today's gonna suck. And we kind of get into this headspace of focusing on our feelings and then comparing them to alternative times that don't actually exist. Right? The past doesn't exist anymore. Neither does the future. There is just how you feel right now. That's all. Right? So when we focus, the best thing that we can focus on is now, the present, today, right? And because so many people, what they do is they either get caught in trying to feel how they felt in the past, or they get caught in worrying about how they're going to feel in the future. So they start, oh gosh, how long is this going to be here? Do I have to handle this tomorrow? Do I have to handle it this week? What about this wedding that's coming up? What if I'm anxious for that? Right. And we're taking this feeling and we're kind of carrying it into the future, or trying to, change, go into the past, causes all sorts of rift in our brain and emotions, right? I mean, it just causes more disturbance. So when we're talking about focusing, what we want to focus on is just, hey, how do I feel right now? How do I feel? You know? And okay, this is what's happening right now. Okay. And here's what I'm working on right now. You know what? And if I feel anxious tomorrow, I'll cross that bridge when I need to. Okay. But I'm not going to try to handle tomorrow today. And I don't know, I'm going to give this feeling as much space as possible. I'm going to give it as much space as possible. And that's all I'm going to do today, is I'm going to try to allow my body to do what it needs to do, to feel what it needs to feel. And I'm going to trust my body. Now that is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do. But if you're like me, right, in other times, like when I've really been caught in the loop, it's like I go into like Mr. Fix It crazy mode. I'm like, I need to do this, I need to work out, I need to take supplements, I need to meditate, and I start going into all these things to try to change how I'm feeling. Right. And the issue with that is that it actually perpetuates the loop. So when I notice anxiety surface up, my goal and the best thing that I know I can do is actually to give it space. To give it space. That's it. So the last thing is just goals. So with goals, like I said, one of the things that people do is they try to make themselves feel like if they're feeling 40%, right? Like let's just say that that's kind of where they are in the scale. They try to set the goal for 100%. And the problem with that is that even if they have an improvement to 50%, they still see it as like, it's not good enough. Need to be 100, need to be 100, need to be 100. So setting goals for yourself that are actually going to help you navigate out of this is really important. And the goal I recommend, and I got this from James Altucher. So shout out to James Altucher. He's actually a finance guy. But he talked about in his book, gosh, I think it was Choose Yourself. He talked about this idea of just getting 1% better, right? And that if let's say we're at 40%, well, if I focus on getting 1% better a day, so from 40 to 41 to 42 to 43, and that's all my focus was, well, one, it's an obtainable goal. I can get 1% better today, especially just in one aspect of my life. If I can get 1% better at choosing my meals than I did yesterday, it's like, all right, well, I chose a healthier meal than yesterday. That's good. Or, hey, I didn't work out yesterday. I went for a walk today. I got 1% better. And we start chipping, 1%, 1%. Well, if we did that, then in 100 days, we would be 100% different than where we are. Right. And kind of giving ourselves that space to do that. See, so many people, they don't give space to themselves. They don't give any space for feelings, any space to handle things. It's like they go into solve, and they get stressed about being stressed, and and just compile the discomfort on. So these goals, or these things, I think are really helpful when you are stuck. And so anyways, so I just wanted to share that today. I hope it's helpful. And for those of you that are looking for more help, over at Restored Minds, we have several resources for you on this journey. And so we have our Taking Back Control program. We also have our groups, and as well as our individual coaching that we offer. And so wherever you are, I have some links right down below to some free resources as well to start you on your journey. And so please check those out, and please reach out to us if you're struggling. And because this is not a journey that you should go alone. You should go out alone, right? It really is something that you should be getting the right support from. And I say the right support because just going to therapy doesn't help, right? It's like there's with OCD and anxiety, there's very specific tools that you need to be implementing. Talking about it doesn't work. And I'm sure you guys have learned that by now. Talking about it and just kind of venting about it is a temporary solution. You really need to learn the tools to really break you out of that loop. So, with that said, I hope you guys have a great week, and please check out the resources in the link below. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Have a great week.